Welcome to Unorthodox Perspectives with your host, Luke Burrows.
I think like your mission, your vision, your purpose, your passion, it's all interlinked.
And Leroy Mabonga.
Discipline is the first step to control.
All right, hey guys, welcome to episode 22 of Unorthodox Perspectives. As you can see, we have Leroy here. Hi Leroy, hope you're doing well. And our guest today, John, is with us. So John, thank you so much for coming on the show. How's your, I guess it's afternoon there. You're kind of out in Thailand, so I'm guessing it's the afternoon.
It is. We're up to 1600 hours, so it's 4 p.m. in Thailand.
Yeah. Amazing.
So things are good.
Amazing.
I'm just sitting here brewing my coffee. I'm getting ready.
Amazing. Awesome. So, great to have you here. Leroy, how's things on your end?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. An early episode today, isn't it? But yeah,
I know. I was just thinking that. So, guys, obviously, because like with the time zones and everything, we are coming at you a bit earlier than usual, but it's good to be doing this in the morning. But yeah, with that said, guys, let's kind of dive into the episode. So, John, again, thank you so much for joining us. For those who don't know who you are, I would love to learn more about like who is John ultimately. If you kind of share in a couple of minutes on who you are, what you do, and then we'll dive into the episode for today, which is a lot around of how people have choices in their lives and just kind of like bringing more kind of awareness to the choices that they do have and options that they do have to help them ultimately to move forward. Yeah.
Well, thanks for the invitation again, Luke. Nice to be with you guys again. Yeah, we talked some time ago, and I remember we talked about these things. You shared also some of your stories, so it was kind of interesting to hear that. I can say, to just do a quick pitch on who I am and what I do. I come from Norway, actually. Been living in Norway most of my life, but I ended up in Thailand just in 2019. I came here with my girl. We kind of escaped Norway, actually. She's from the US, and we couldn't stay there for too long, and Norway is just insanely expensive. You're getting robbed with fees and stuff. So we found after some time that, for us to be together, we had to come up with an idea. So we left for Thailand, and that's where I have been since. I had a quick trip to Norway to pack my shit up and get rid of stuff, and we went back again. So, but yeah, I guess, who am I? I'm kind of a guy outside of the typical norms of society. People that know me, they understand that. I've done my thing with. I haven't gone through too much education. I have to say that I've gone through 2 years of private school in my hometown, which basically was a shit school. I can tell you, even the private school was crap. So what happened there is that when I came to this private school in my town, which was for multimedia design, I basically knew more than the teachers at times, so it became kind of annoying. And I ended up becoming a helper teacher. I ended up having him in my own office. In the end, the school didn't make it, so they just shut down, and it wasn't easy to get a job. So I just started looking for my own jobs. So that's how I started that. But I have also had my, typical employee jobs. I remember that the last job I had was at a hotel in my hometown. I kept that job for 5 years. And, it's kind of the worst scenario at times, running a hotel alone at night in the weekends in the city with a bunch of loonies. There's so much hopeless people that you have to filter through that house. Right, so I've been dealing with so much crap. So after 5 years, I just had enough of having a 9-to-5 job, and I was also already at that time looking into more deeper knowledge, spiritual knowledge, metaphysical topics, and all that. So, and also I have had so I quit my job at that time, and I kind of just dived into jumped in the ocean and just hope was hoping to swim. It seems like I'm still swimming though, so I've been swimming far basically. And also at that time, I also did been doing Taekwondo for a long time, for 17 years, martial arts. And I have to say that when it comes to education, that must have been the kind of the best education I could get. So it got nothing to do with school. I didn't go anymore to school after those 2 years of private school. I've been basically educated myself. That's usually what I tell people. So, while spending a lot of time on martial arts, training other people, for 17 years totally, and 15 of them as a trainer, I also spent a lot of time, building my own business, and web design became kind of my way of making a living. So that's been my story, I guess, my main story. Most of my time I've been doing my own thing, generating my own income. So
yeah, I remember when we spoke, like the point about like education systems and that definitely came up, and me and Leroy have referenced it and have spoken about it on the show before. That's one reason why I wanted to bring you on. But Leroy, like, obviously this is the first time that you're actually kind of meeting John and kind of hearing part of his journey, his story. Do you have kind of any questions on that, or things that come to mind that you would like to ask?
Yeah, like I think to sum it up, I've got so many questions, man. But to sum it up in one, I think would be when you perceive life, John, like from a perspective where you haven't had that long time in an educational system to necessarily be fundamentally, still like influenced by, that period, because it's a different lifestyle. I can probably imagine, because you're coming at life from, you're also trying to learn from life. You're not coming from a point where I've been in from an educational point, and I dropped out of uni. That's my story. And since then, I won't lie. This it's only about 6 years, but I felt like I've learned more in those 6 years. Even in the first 3 years of these 6 years, I felt I learned more than I did when I was in uni. And that was when you immerse yourself with life. Whereas when you're in an educational system, you're largely, there's a scheduling to your life that you almost don't have an autonomous like handle on your life to an extent, So when I now dropped out, and it's like now you have to formulate, you have to see your own way almost. You have to have a vision of your own life in order for you to actually live it. Whereas there's a different, so it's like having more time than others, because I feel like so many of us, we start living after uni, because that's when you really and truly leave education and try and really like now immerse into life. But largely you're now based on a career that you've spent largely a big chunk of your, early livelihood training your mind to be a certain person, and then we uphold that role to an extent that we cannot see life outside that role, if that makes sense. So the question is like, having such a long time with that ability to now just see your own life and almost have that accountability. I feel like even you're saying with the Taekwondo, and everything that you do, like you've gone so deep within yourself, spiritually, physically, mentally, than even I would say, because it's only been 6 for me. I think to myself, you know what? Yeah, I've been in education, but I feel like I've really started to learn life in the last 6 years when I really be like, took it on head on. So it's like, how do you, when you tackle everything you do now, because like you said, you are very unorthodox, you're very like unconventional. So it can come to a point where everyone else sees something differently, to a point where you can almost feel like, am I the one in the wrong space? But so how do you hold up that, like, that knowledge of self in the fact that you are living the same world that everybody else who may be educationally, engrossed, but you also have you've got your way, you've got your life, you've got this. How do you uphold that? I feel like it's very difficult because when everyone around you who has grown up with that is constantly now looking at you and your choices and everything you're trying to do as unconventional, and trying to bring you back to the system, the normality, the things of life. How do you uphold that?
Well, the first advice I would see will share to somebody if they feel misplaced and they know that they don't feel in. The first thing which is great to start doing is just not giving a holy crap. Don't give a fuck about the system or anything or whatever, even your mother or father or anything else. Because if you truly feel inside that you don't, this is not for you, obviously there's a mismatch, right, in the energy there. So you have to do something about it and not giving a shit to give you some space to navigate and figure things out. That's the first thing I would do. And that's totally okay to do, right? And especially now, the last years, things have been kind of a little bit more loose with what's okay to do now, going against the norms in society and regulations and expectations and all that crap. Because there's a huge movement now in the times we're in. It's a shift on the whole planet. So the whole system is not working anymore. It's not going to work. It's just completely falling apart, which is also a good thing to know. But another thing I wanted to say, that for my part, I think I know with myself, with the story that I have and all the fuckery I've been going through since childhood, that some of us, and I bet you guys may have some of the same thing. Some of the souls that comes to this planet now, they come with a different energy and kind of an energy signature in a way. There's a different state of being that operates on a different level, which is totally incompatible with the systems and the norms of society. So it's never going to work from the day you were born anyway. And some of those souls just they know that there's something more, there's something else than what you have been told by parents and teachers. Not so much priests anymore, because they kind of, I see that as kind of useless guides, in some ways at least. But also, politicians or the world leaders, whatever we are told to believe in, something is falling apart there. So, and some of the young souls being born, they know this. So it's a twofold thing. So what I'm saying is that some people come to this planet, just they don't fit in from the coding that you have, right? But also, more and more people are just seeing that trying to fit in is not working on many levels. It's not just the educational system, but just having a job, choosing career and all that. So for my part, what I do is what I have done is, and I mentioned this thing of being kind of having a different soul structure, maybe, because for me, I have learned to recognize that. It seems like there's something in my basic understanding of life on this planet that is not common. So I started to understand that and recognize it. So I had to make different choices. But I guess I have kind of an energy in me to make it in a way. But I have observed a bunch of young people and also older people that have a totally different look on life and reality, but they don't talk about it. So they kind of suffer in silence. But I have observed so many young students, especially through Taekwondo, that really struggled through the school system. I remember one guy that I sometimes mention, really nice, sweet, smart guy, actually. He got totally fried by school in combination with the pushing from his father. So he went to therapy a couple of years after that. So, it's a risky business to try to join the forces of the normalities. So, So what I do, not give a shit and start looking for new solutions.
I think kind of on that, I think a lot of, just from my perspective, a lot of reasons why people may give a shit, I guess. For me, it comes back to, it's like there's some kind of like emotional attachment there, ultimately, you know. So like, if it's like that, we mentioned kind of parents, then obviously there's that emotional attachment to their parents, you know. And so I feel not to dismiss kind of our emotions or how we kind of feel about things, but just to kind of, I mean, I've been saying this a lot recently, of kind of like consciousness and just bringing more awareness to it, because I feel like once you're more aware of something, then you can start to look at like potential solutions ultimately, if that makes sense. So I think, like, I completely get what you're saying, John, like, don't give a shit, but a lot of people do, you know, and it's very hard for them to go from like 1 second caring about things, giving a shit about things, to then completely not, you know, not. So kind of, do you have any maybe recommendations or kind of thoughts on how people can start to go through that process of maybe caring too much, maybe, or what, especially what other people think of them, to like, what does that journey look like? Because again, I think people can go from, you know, as we sit here today, maybe they're like, okay, actually, you know, I do care too much of what of what the neighbor down the street thinks, but then that's not going to change overnight, right? Like that's a journey in itself.
Can I add? Can I just add like an example? Literally, I had yesterday to what he's saying. I was giving a lift to someone, and I had to drive an hour to Leicester. And when it so happened, I got there on time. But the two people I was picking up, one of them was so stressed that they were so worried and cared for. The manager had not told them who's coming to pick them up. I didn't know I'm coming to pick them up. So there was no communication. But because of that miscommunication, they were so worried that they ended up asking a sister to come and pick them up. Now the weather was so bad, she had to bring two of her kids with her. But because she was later than me, it so happened that she was already outside the house, like 45 minutes into the drive. So two drivers got out the house. But because this person was so worried that the manager would neglect her, she felt like she would be abandoned, you know, it ended up causing a lot more things to happen than what, if just a little patience, even just waiting, because I was there 5 minutes after they finished, you know. But the worry and, you know, it was so much. And I was talking to her, I was like, and she was like, I just worry so much. Can't even sleep, can't even eat. It's just, it causes even her physical health to deteriorate, you know. And because she worries so, yeah. So I can see where Luke is coming from, like, because she worries so much about so many things in her life. How can she now come back and not give? Because I was like to her as well, like, you need to just turn it off, like, just, you know, try and just don't care as much, because it really, look at what is happening.
Not easy, but yeah. And, you know, that's some of the pressure I'm talking about, because, you know, school teachers and authoritative figures in general have been kind of leveled up a little bit too high sometimes. It's not that people should respect them at all. And, you know, when I talk about not giving a shit about different things in life, it doesn't mean that you should become reckless or careless or rude or nasty. It's not switching to the complete opposite. It's more about gently walking away from not working for you. And don't care if that you actually do that. Don't care about the responses you get. That's the kind of, that's more like the kind of not giving a shit I'm talking about. Because everybody should have a goal in life. It's what really makes people happy, that they live, you know, discover a meaning from life, that they connect with who they truly are. And the system is not made for that. You know, the typical system everybody's pushed through is made for create factory workers, basically, to let the economy, you know, cogwheel rolling. There's nothing in school that teaches people about emotional well-being, or who they really are, or where we really come from. Even much of the even more important ancient knowledge is not even mentioned. The history books sucks basically. So I mean, schools are different, of course, and many of the teachers are sincere. They want to teach students because they love that, but they need to teach based on the system they are served within the framework that's accepted in a school system. So yeah, it's pretty rough. I mean, life is rough in general, but you could say that if the school system, I mean, maybe one example I sometimes mention, at least in Norway, we had the Steiner school, which I consider to be one of the best options, coming from Rudolf Steiner, the kind of the educational system that he created. It's much more soft, organic, personal, and creative. And I remember for many years we had a few Steiner school students at Taekwondo or classes, and they always stand out from everybody else. They are polite, they are peaceful, they're not making noises, they're paying attention. There's just a difference with them because the education they go through bring them so much more peace every day, and they kind of look forward to go to school. Right, so it's a big difference there.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a comment from Marlene, like this whole kind of idea of the school system, one size fits all, which definitely agree.
That's true.
With that.
And that's basically what I talked about now. Nobody's teaching you about who you really are, where you come from. Nobody's teaching you to get to know yourself. You're just supposed to fit through the system and get the grades.
And so kind of on that point, so what are some things that from the work that you're doing now, working with people that, so I'll start again. I like, and I'm huge on like personal responsibility as well. Like, okay, the school system isn't doing that. Like, we all know that. Like, I've had so many conversations on podcasts and everything about this topic, and, there are some people who are doing something about it, and that's great. Like, let them kind of crack on with it. Us as individuals, what can we do to, I guess, take back some of that power so then actually we can continue to move forward in our own lives and discover our true selves and, maybe if it's get into shape or build meaningful careers or whatever it is, what are some things that we can do so that, we can discover our true selves and move forward, as I mentioned?
Well, the first thing I would say is that start asking questions and do your own research and follow, leaders and people that are among the top on YouTube now that are really mind expanding, because if you don't have a deeper understanding about life, there's always going to be a super important missing piece. Usually one of the only doctor I refer to on this planet basically is Joe Dispenza. You guys have heard about Joe Dispenza. He's all over the place now because his knowledge have exploded. So just by, for example, that's kind of a way you can do research. Start asking questions. I would say the first thing you should do, at least to understand that it's okay to not follow the system. Maybe the school system is not working for you. Then it's okay to drop out to save yourself. Start doing your own education and research, and you will discover your path along the way. So not going to school does not mean that you should not learn stuff. It's just you need a different format, and you probably need a different source of information. It's nice to know how to read and write and math and all those things. Some history can be nice, but part of that is not even meaningful or not even correct. So save this mind space for something that fires you up, right? And you can find anything online now. YouTube and endless, learning platforms online. Many of them are free. There's so much you can learn for free now. So start explore, do research, ask questions. And, we're probably coming up to something I wanted to mention and also offer for people listening into this in the future. It's one of my new kind of concept creations to help people basically manifest and create their lives in a more powerful way, we could say. And one of the things I mentioned there is that my concept is called filter and manifest. The first concept or the first topic there, filtering, is about filtering your reality. You have to filter out what kind of influence do you allow into your life. And that includes people and sources of information. So when you start to filter out what's not working for you and what's not fitting your kind of personality structure, your mindset, or your dreams even, you're creating mind space to educate yourself and manifest the life that you want. And that could even just, I mean, for young people, it's not even easy to know what the hell do I want in life. But by starting to walk the path, at least, you will start to see things coming towards you, right? If you stop walking, everything stops. So that's one of the things I mentioned. So yeah, ask questions, be okay with not fitting in, and know that the school system, which everybody's pushed through, may not be for you. Do your best and see how it goes. Some schools are okay, most of them are not. And I believe that for many of the young people incarnating on this planet now, the school system is not going to work at all. And they're going to rebel against that. And you guys know that. And I know many of them myself. I know even a couple of people on the chat here today. One of them is two of them is one of my past Taekwondo students, actually. I remember one of the story for one of them here is that I usually share with people. I've been writing about it before. He is an old soul when he came to this planet. You could not push him through having a job, locked in 9 to 5. He cannot go to school. He even started digging himself out from kindergarten when he was 4. That's when he started from him. So don't expect to have him push through the system. So that went so rough that he even went into drugs, but he made it. After a few years, he reached out back to me. We got connected. I told him the truth of the society, and he felt relieved, and he immediately started a new path. Doing super fine now. He's one of the most well-educated young people on your age that I know about. So, because he chose his own path, he started seeking, reading, and he discovered stuff.
Amazing. Leroy, do you have any thoughts, kind of questions on what we kind of touched upon there?
Nah, like it was just nice, to just hear it all as well. Like, sometimes it's something that I think a lot of people need to hear, that like it takes that focusing on what you really want and shutting out what you don't want. That's what he means when John's saying, like, just don't give a fuck. Like, don't give, a shit. It's my language. Like, just walk towards what you know you want, and do not feel guilty for not doing what somebody else, or what the influence may want you to do. Because then at the end of the day, through that walking towards your path, you yourself you feel fulfilled within your own self, and you feel more in a purpose. You like, there's a purpose, that you're doing what you're doing. Whereas if you're doing something for someone, there's no purpose in there. There's a reason. You're just reasoning to, and now it's almost like you're just giving away your energy, just by reasoning.
Your power.
But when you pour it into your purpose, there's power in that. You grow into that, and I feel like that's like you mentioned something, actually, just a quick one. You said that very almost not caring and focusing on that perception you realize that you had, that even others around you, even those same age or younger or older, your perception was different, and you didn't shy away from it. Rather, you actually warmed up to it, and you accepted it in a way that then that purpose or that ability to see the world in a different way carved out a whole new world that only you can see, and I feel like we need to do that more. Like, so many of us, we have things that we feel we can do, or we can see, but we are then so drowned by everything around us. But if we
Yeah.
warm up to that, because it's really a positive feeling we feel from within, but then the negativity showers us down to a point where we don't even want to
Because
make
that's
it
the
as well.
norm. Yeah, negativity is the norm. Not necessarily negativity, but things that's not fitting you, which has a negative impact on you. So, and that's the norm.
But then,
because, yeah,
sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna add, like, but then when we actually like focus on that now, it almost like that very uniqueness draws out what supports it's like it's liveliness, you know, that your uniqueness ends up like attracting exactly what it needs to manifest. That's the word I was looking for. To actually manifest in your life. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, that's all. That's all, man. It's really some powerful stuff, John.
Yeah, people are more powerful than they think.
Definitely.
Very true.
And so, kind of on that point, I kind of touched on it beforehand, of like people taking back like that personal power. Like, John, do you have any ideas of ideas on like how people can do that?
Take back. Well, it becomes part of the process. What I just told you now, do not give a shit, because you decide that I'm not going to be affected by the madness of the planet or what everybody else wants to follow. It's okay to be a black sheep and just start walking another direction, not fitting in. You know, be the one in the family that just have a completely different opinion about stuff, and that's totally fine. And when you start to make decisions for yourself, you start claiming your power. It's a process. It's a growth process. You guys have basically already done it, I guess. You have paved out a course. There's something going on here, obviously, which is really good. And you started this process by making decisions. I'm not going to take part in this or that because it's not for me. It's not working. It's not fitting. You have made a decision for yourself, and that's claiming your power. And also to start seeking, because you have the freedom to do that. That's claiming your power. To not blindly, be blindly polite because everybody else is, like being the good neighbor to do what everybody else is doing. That's claiming your power, basically. So, but to grow that further, I think when everybody starts to understand that you are the most important person in your life, that's also claiming your power, not your sister or brother or mother even, because they have their own unique lives. We have our own universes. So we're all separate universes, you could say, because their life perspective and complete connection to the universe is individual. So if you write universe with you in the word, it makes more sense because it becomes unique. It's your world and your reality and your reflection and your creation. And that's claiming a great deal of power. It's like pouring water on a goose. It's just going to repel off. But it's also about, like I said, not give a holy crap about anything and start being rude and be a wise ass with an ego, because then you kind of bending over to the negative side again. You're not balanced. So you also have to have honesty and dignity and just walk in peace step by step, and you will start to find the solutions. And by having that courage to start walking your own road and pave it out for yourself, that's claiming your power too. And when you start asking questions, you get confirmations by reading, watching YouTube videos, and listening to podcasts like this. You're just growing that power. You get more and more confirmations that the choice you made was the right thing to do.
Fantastic, amazing. And I know you have, I know you do a lot of, or you're starting to do work with people one-on-one, but also with some series of ebooks. Do you want to like talk to us about that and where people can pick those up before we come to the end of today's show?
Yeah, there's one thing. Things are happening in my life too. Since last fall, have been kind of a little bit of fuckery again. that I had to work with to kind of get back and build up my strength again, which was just unfortunate for me, I guess. But I'm not complaining. It's losing a relationship is intense, especially for a Libra, I guess. Star sign Libra, we have a way of really connecting deep with people. But anyway, I spent a lot of time again to dive back into my spiritual interest, metaphysical topics, and especially with the topic of manifesting. How the hell do we actually create our reality? And we know about meditation, visualization, scripting, and all that. That's things we do when we get into starting to claim our power and pave our own journey. These are some of the things we learn. Meditation, most people know about this now. It's a common thing. And we can use that to visualize our dreams, which is one of the methods to manifest. But one of the things I discovered is that when you really dive into both new and ancient knowledge, all of the sources are talking about the same thing. It's actually how our thoughts is creating reality in the infinite field of all probabilities. And all these lessons and all these, I would almost say just confirmations from my parts. By reading so many sources now, I see a pattern. This turned out to be the ebook that I wanted to mention today that I call the Reality Shift Template. It's pretty, it's not magical, but it's powerful if people do it. Because people ask the question, is it possible to shift realities and jump timelines, which is kind of a hot topic now? And the nice thing to see is that even scientists are starting to finally understand some of this on a scientific level. A lot of people still need people in white coats with a badge to tell them how reality works. So for those, it's nice to see that it's coming out so they can feel safe. But for those that don't need scientists, and still believe and trust in the ancient knowledge, especially when all of them talk about the same things, it's starting to make sense. So I created a concept called Filter and Manifest, and I can quickly just explain how it works, but I don't know if you're going to share the link today, Luke, so people can actually get it free.
Yeah, so what will happen is if you're listening on the podcast, then there'll be, we'll leave all the links, obviously, as always, to connect with myself and Leroy, and obviously our guest today, John, with the link to get this ebook. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, joining us live, obviously, thank you for being here. And after the episode, we'll put all the links down below as well. I can display it on the screen, but that means you guys can't copy and paste it. But I'll do that now while John kind of quickly runs through.
Easy to find. Yeah, so the concept of filter and manifest is simple. It can be a hard job for some, but if people can follow through, it's going to completely rewrite their reality, their past, and now and the future. It's a free guide. You can get it from my website. I just published it 2 days ago, so it's kind of hot and brand new. It's called the Reality Shift Template, and it's a guide helping people claim their power and change reality so dramatically that life becomes totally different. It's not something everybody wants, but a lot of people are seeking a better quality of life. So how can you do that? Well, you cannot do it by repeating the same shit every day. So something needs to change if you want to change. The first thing we start with is filtering, and it's 5 simple steps. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy to do for some people, but the ideas are simple. And the first thing is that we need to filter the reality we have now. The first step is to start filtering the food you eat. It's pretty simple and obvious. If you eat shit food, you get shit thoughts. And scientists know that there's a connection between the stomach and brain, which can cause depression. So it's up to you. It's not something you have to do, but eating clean food, especially from the United States, which is insane when it comes to food. It's hard to even think clearly and make a decision about life. So filter your food. The next thing you should do is start filtering your family, friends, and social network, because some of the people around you may not be your best fit for the reality that you dream about. So And like I said, it doesn't mean that you should be rude and kick them out of the house, but gently navigate yourself in another direction. Because if you change, not everybody's going to like that. Some of your old friends think you're going to suck and you're stupid, and they don't like you anymore. They don't like the best version of you that you're trying to become. You need to filter your social network, even your mother, for some people. I've seen it many times. The third thing you need to filter is places you hang out, places you go to. And go to places that does not, because places have energy. You know, there's a reason there's ley lines where buildings are built or and ancient sites are built at certain grid points on the planet. It's the same thing with the places you live and hang out every day. If you hang out in a shitty backyard with some nasty people, it's a less, success rate. If you just start to go to nice places, go to cozy coffee shop, go to a hotel lobby, just pretend you have a room there and sit down and do some work somewhere. The reception won't know anyway. I've done that many times because it's a different setting and stage for me. That's how I did it before. Go to nice places. And the fourth thing you need to filter out is media. News and TV fucking sucks. It's insane how much programming it is in that. Quit Facebook unless you use it as a paid professionally. Remove it from your phone, and cut out all the mind crap that we get fed every day. The last thing, number 5, that's good to filter is the new information that you take in. It's nice to start asking questions and do research and dig and learn. But you also need to have a filter for that. Don't accept anything. There's a lot of weird stuff out there, but there's also a lot of the weird stuff that's actually true. So people have to establish a filter for that too. So when you have been filtering your reality, you have made such a good space for yourself, claiming your space. You have cleaned up your reality and your thoughts, and now you can actually start manifesting. So in this guide today, I'm explaining a few methods people can do to actually put some mind power into manifesting their dreams and reality, the future timeline that they want. And one of the things is, of course, meditation. You just sit down and visualize, and you get butterflies in your stomach for the future dreams that you have. The second thing I recommend people to do is just sit down either on a laptop or a notebook and start rewrite your past. Rewrite some events that was not beneficial to you, or is not necessarily a good memory. Change the story. Rewrite it. Write down the story, but make a change to it. So change the past, because it's going to change the future now, or the now moment. The third thing I recommend people start doing is to script their future as a movie script, because our lives is a movie, but you have to write the script yourself. You can't sit down and wait for the teacher to tell you what you should become or do, or your parent or anything. Guidance is nice, but you have to decide. So write down a movie script. This very short, super short. Write down as a script. This is what's going to happen, and write the scene as it has happened. Like if you want to have a job, for example, write down how happy you were to get greeted for the new job you got, or the destination you traveled to, how it feels to be there, how happy you are to be there. Script it and write it down.
Amazing.
So
I love
that's
that.
one of the things I recommend.
That's awesome. Leroy, do you have any thoughts on that? Are you muted?
I was just saying, yeah, man, like that's some really, they're simple but powerful steps, it sounds like, and they may be hard, but I think if you really are somebody who wants change, I think just I found out a new trick as well about if you want to do something, like, say, okay, I'll do it for a minute, I'll do it for a minute, like just a minute. If you want to do, I don't know, a project or write an essay, let's say, or a book, or says, okay, I'll just go and write a sentence, or just for a minute, I'll just write something. Before you know it, those minutes will add up one day. And before you know it, you want to do more than a minute. And sometimes it's just about finding these little hacks to actually get your mind to shift the paradigm. Like at the end of the day, you are the driver. It's only you who can decide to put it on autopilot. But we always have that ability to actually
have persistence. Never give up. Expect everybody on this listening to this in the future too. Expect at least about 60 days for your mind to shift, to believe in the new future and what you want. It takes time to rewrite the subconscious.
That's all.
Definitely. Amazing. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Do you have any final thoughts or maybe words of inspiration for people who are listening, our audience?
I don't know what that would be. I think the visuals and the feeling I have for the future is really bright, but that's my reality, and I believe in that for everybody who want to focus on that. Start looking away from all the crap and the madness, and especially the pandemic craziness and the vaccine shit happening and pushing around that. Live in your own reality bubble. You don't need chemicals to be healthy, and don't let the government teach you that you should wear a diaper on your mouth for the rest of your life, or you need vaccines to survive. I don't believe in that. That's what I'm spreading about it. Relax with everything. Take your power, and everything will be fine.
Amazing. Awesome. And I will display all links in the description. So guys, definitely go and check those out if you want to connect with John, obviously get his ebook. What's the best platform to connect with you on, John? Is it Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram is the best one.
Fantastic. Cool. Awesome. Well, guys, I will, me and Leroy will be back next week at the usual time here live. And if you're listening on the podcast, again, thank you for joining us, and we will leave you with our outro. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Unorthodox Perspectives.
If you liked today's episode on this show, please subscribe and leave a comment below.
All relevant links for today's episode of the podcast can be found in the description, so please check them out.
And we will be back next week with another episode. Until then, have an awesome week.